Hughes, you're recognized as committee substitute for Senate Bill 784 to suspend the constitutional 3-day rule.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the constitutional rule. Bills will be on 3 several days.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Betancourt, Birdwell, Buckingham, Campbell, Creighton, Fallon, Flores, Hall, Hancock, Hinojosa, Huffman, Hughes, Johnson, Colcourse, Menendez, Miles, Nelson, Nichols, Paxton, Perry, Powell, Rodriguez, Schwertner, Seliger, Taylor, Watson, West, Whitmire, and Zaffarini.
24 ayes, 6 nays. The rule is suspended. Chair lays out on third reading and final passage. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 784. Secretary, read the caption.
Committee substitute Senate Bill 784 relating to local school health advisory councils and health education provided by school districts.
Senator Miles, for what purpose?
Question for the author, Mr. President.
You're recognized. Do you yield?
Of course, I'll yield, Mr. President.
Brian, my good friend, Senator Hughes, what is the legislative intent of this bill?
Well, Senator Miles, thank you. There was testimony before the Education Committee from a number of parents and even experts in the field of curriculum that the rules about parental involvement and parental notice are not being followed evenly across the state. So the way we filed the bill, it actually was going to require that Commissioner of Education would have to approve the curriculum. That has all been taken out. So the bill before you now, it says that the school health advisory committees that we already have, they already exist to help implement, to help develop this curriculum. The bill now says they've got to meet in open meetings. Parents have to know when they're meeting and get to come and participate. And then it says that whatever curriculum is going to be shown to students on a sensitive matter like this, parents get to see it. So the bill is much scaled down from the one that was originally filed. I think that may have thrown some people off. But that's what the bill's about.
So, Senator Hughes, when you and I were coming up in several years ago, and our PE coach decided to talk to us about birds and the bees, or sex education, or health matters, what you're doing now is inviting parents into those classes. Is that correct?
No, Senator, I should have been more precise. The parents wouldn't be in the classes to view it, but they would get to view the material that was going to be offered, and they would know when it was going to be there. So the idea is that the curriculum that's going to be shown to the students, the parents will get to see that. This has been in the law since the 1990s. The parents get to see it, but it's kind of vague on how it's been implemented.
So if it's been going on since the 1990s, it's kind of vague. What do you really want the parents to do? Do you want them to be a part of the class? Do you want them to look over the homework?
Right.
So I'm a little confused exactly what it is that you want this bill to do.
No, thank you.
Because I'm concerned about intrusion, or are we just trying to legislate too much? Because next thing I know, we'll be trying to legislate parents doing homework and make sure that kids are doing homework. So why, for this particular topic, do you want more involvement with parents in schools? So
no.
Help explain that to me, brother.
No, thank you, Senator. And I should have walked through the mechanics. The way the current law works, and the way it would work if this bill were to pass, the curriculum is available to parents who want to see it. They can go up to the school and see it, or they can give them a password-protected access to a website. To answer your question,
but Senator Hughes,
I have a good answer for you.
Aren't all curriculums approved by someone in education?
Yes, sir, by someone, by the State Board of Education involvement. That some of it's done here, right, but the details are worked out at various levels.
So would this be the only piece of curriculum that we teach in the state of Texas that we'd have to get a parent's approval in order for it to be taught?
Yes, so here's how it would work. To answer your question, a parent can view the material, and they're already allowed to, but some schools are handling it differently. So the parent could view the material, and if they object, then their child would not be in that class on that day. And that's already being done.
So let me make sure I understand you something. If a parent comes to my political science class, and they don't approve of Senator Campbell's Western civilization being taught.
Right.
Because you just passed a bill, Senator Campbell just passed a bill, that it is an elective for Western civilization to be taught. Is that correct? Okay. So if my mother doesn't want me in that elective class, then she can come to the school and withdraw me from that class?
Now, this bill just applies to answer your question, this bill applies to school health advisory councils and human sexuality. That might be a good bill that you're describing.
So if my mother don't want me to learn human sexuality, she's going to take me out of that class. She has a right under this bill.
Under current law today, she already has the right to take you out. This is giving her notice so she'll know if she wants to.
Okay,
current law, she can already take you out.
With that being said, though, shouldn't Senator Campbell's Western Civilization class have to be given a notice?
Yeah, that might be a good bill as well. This bill is not about that.
So can I put an amendment to your bill? Can I put an amendment to your bill then, that any classes that any parent that wants their child taken out of a class should have to be noticed? Do they have to give notice?
Since my bill doesn't say the children can be taken out, that's already in the law. This bill doesn't address that. That's already in the law. This just addresses the notice we give to parents to decide whether to exercise those rights. So this bill doesn't say that.
So
it's been in the law for a long time.
Exercise the right to have notice of all curriculum being taught in the state of Texas?
For a long time.
Does that make sense?
For a long time now, since at least the 1980s, we have recognized.
My Democratic members, I wish I would pay attention to what we're doing here.
For a long time, we've recognized that sensitive matters like this, community standards and parental involvement, is more important than, say, a math or something like that. They're all important. This is pretty sensitive stuff. And so parents need to be involved. That's the idea.
You want parents to have notice that their kids are being taught sexual education. That's sensitive stuff.
That's the idea. That's right. No, that's right.
And I'd like for my parents to be taught when the kid is learning Western civilization.
Right.
What's the difference?
Well, that might be a good bill as well. And right now, parents have a lot of authority. This bill deals with a narrow issue.
Will you accept a friendly amendment on Western civilization?
Well, this bill deals with school health.
It's the same concept. It's the same concept, just letting your parents know, be notified.
The bill deals with school health advisory councils. They already exist. I don't know if we have advisory councils for other curriculum. We may, and we can ask Senator Taylor and maybe try to put something on the education bill.
Has something gone wrong in the history of Texas that when we learned about sexual intercourse, or we learned about health as related to sex, or whatever you want to, however you're framing this class, has something gone wrong in the past? Can you show or point to something that happened that we now need our parents to be notified of this bill?
Parents testified before the committee that much of the material was not age appropriate in their opinion, and of course they're the parents. Much of the material was not age appropriate, and many parents testified, again from across the spectrum, that the materials being offered did not fit the standards of the communities they lived in. And those are going to be different around the state. We recognize that. Something this sensitive, we would submit something this sensitive should have as much local input, in particular parental input, as possible.
You don't think because we're doing all this, we're making it more sensitive and bringing more attention to it and ostracizing the kids? Just because we have this particular, you want parents notified? Mom, this week in school, we're going to be learning about sex education. You've got to sign off on this paper in order for me to attend the class.
The parent doesn't have to sign off, but the parent has the right to pull their student out, and that's been the law for a long time. Now, this bill does not add to that. That's been the law for a long time, that a parent can pull their child out of a particular course or a particular session that doesn't meet with their values and their standards. That's not being added by this bill.
So what you're saying is you're not trusting our schools now to teach our kids sex education?
Well, we ultimately trust the parents, and our schools are involving our parents. We just want to make sure parents know how the system works.
What grade did you learn sex education?
I beg your pardon?
Senator Hughes, what grade did you learn your sex education?
I don't remember.
Don't remember?
I honestly don't.
It didn't leave a scar on you or anything. You think it's leaving scars on our kids in the state of Texas when they have to learn about sex education?
I just know parents testified and said some of the material was not age appropriate for their children.
Testified?
I'll have to go back and look. There were a bunch of witnesses before the committee. We had curriculum experts testify that they thought this was a good idea. I can go back and look.
Okay, I'd like to put an amendment that, if you would accept the friendly amendment, that parents need to be notified when we're teaching Western civilization.
Well, Senator, this bill is about school health advisory councils. They already exist. We're not creating.
But it's about curriculum.
It's about school health curriculum.
It's about a curriculum, correct?
It's about school health curriculum. That's right.
It's about being notified when a sex education curriculum is being taught.
It's about it's about how we develop the material and then letting parents know what's in it for school health. We've had these school health advisory councils for a long time. This is not being created by this bill. This is nothing new.
Would you accept a friendly amendment to notify parents when Western civilization is being taught?
Senator, that's not what this bill is about.
It's not about curriculum?
It's about school health and school health advisory councils.
And notifying a parent when you're teaching it.
Parents are already being notified. This is making sure they're given the full information. That's what this is about.
Well, full information like what? I mean, could you give me an example?
So they can see the material. It's not just told some vague summary, but if a parent wants to look at it, they can see the material. So you want the teacher to show the parents all the material that they're going to use when they're teaching that sex education class? That's right. That's right. Yes, exactly. That's it. That's it.
What you got?
Senator Huffman has reminded me. Yeah. Senator Huffman has reminded me.
Senator Huffman has reminded you what, sir?
The testimony we heard from the parents, they brought us some of the materials that was being shown to very young children. And there were members of our committee who would self-describe as members of our committee who would say they're not prudes. And they said, that is inappropriate. That is too much for a third grader, for a fourth grader. That's what prompted this. Parents coming to us saying, this is too much. This is not age appropriate for this child, not for those parents' children. That's what prompted this. We heard from parents.
So now we're going to legislate the curriculum.
We're going to legislate parental involvement in curriculum. Yes, sir.
Parental involvement.
Yes, sir. Guilty.
All right, Mr. Hughes. Brother Hughes, there's one thing I always say about you, and I tell anybody that asks, you're very passionate about your issues and you believe in what you bring onto this floor, although we may not always agree, but you agree with the things that you bring on this floor. So respectfully, I'm going to vote no on this bill and let you move through.
No, thank you, Senator. And you know, I feel that way about you, and I enjoy working with you. I have since we were in the House.
I appreciate you too, brother.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Alvarado, you rise for what reason?
Thank you, Madam President. And Senator Hughes, I respectfully disagree with the purpose of this bill. You know, we have these shacks in place already, the state health advisory councils, I believe they're called. But your bill makes it a government entity. Is that not true?
So the school health advisory committees are appointed by the school board under current law. And so this bill makes it clear that parents are involved. It also says the meetings have to be posted so that parents know when the meetings, just like our meetings are posted. So the point of the school health advisory committee, to answer your question, is to have parental involvement. It's hard for parents to be involved if they don't know the meetings are taking place. So you're correct. So the Open Meetings Act and then notice of the meetings and then keeping minutes of the meetings is about openness and about transparency.
So
you're correct.
And I know everybody's off in their own different conversations, but we're taking what was not a government entity, we're creating more government, big government in these shacks that typically take up issues like recess, school safety, and nutrition. And now we're adding another layer of human sexuality instruction.
No, Senator, we are not adding a layer of human sexuality instruction. School health advisory committees have been involved in school health and sexuality curriculum for a long time. That is not being changed by this bill at all. I can assure you that's already the law, that's already the practice.
Okay, looking at the duties of the shack, I do see here that they debate sex education. And
they already do that.
If your concern is that parents saw some material that they saw was maybe inappropriate for a certain age children, did they take that up to their school district, to their local government entity?
Yes. Many of the parents that testified before the committee, there were similar bills in state affairs and also in the education committee. Many parents had the concerns that we heard from in both committees. Some got more relief from local schools than others. Most of our schools are obviously responsive. They listen to their folks back home. Obviously, there are human beings involved, and so it's not always done exactly right. And so this is about making sure we know when those health committees are meeting so they can be there, so they can be involved. And again, nothing, let me be clear, nothing in this bill dictates what the curriculum says. It dictates that the curriculum be adopted in an open meeting with notice and parents have input. That's what the bill does.
Senator Hughes, but we're taking something that was not a government entity. It was kind of an informal group in the schools, and now we're making it a government entity.
I don't see that in the bill where we're making it a government entity. I'm looking at it too. Help me out.
I'm looking at something that has your name on it. It's about your bill. It's called the Texas Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy.
Okay.
And
what someone says about the bill.
It says designates school health advisory councils, better known as SHACs, as governmental entities.
Okay, I'm looking to see if it's in the bill, and if it is, you help me out. I don't know if that's the case, but I will say what it does. It does make those school health advisory councils.
Members, can we have a little bit more order on the floor, please? Thank you.
It does make sure that when those meetings take place, people know where they're going to meet, know when they're going to meet, and they can show up and participate. I want to make sure we're not talking past each other. I'm really trying to answer the questions. This bill is about making sure that these committees that are considering important matters are posting notice and letting people know when they're meeting. I'm proud to defend that, Senator. Honestly, maybe I'm missing something. Honestly, I don't understand.
Respectfully, I'm trying to figure that out myself because I'm reading the material about your bill, and it's very specific about these now new government entities that your bill is creating. It requires districts to post dates that each sex education lesson will be taught. It requires school districts to use a process for adopting sex ed materials.
I agree with everything you just said.
The caption on your bill reflects or mentions regarding human sexuality. Is there something that our teachers are misrepresenting when it comes to human sexuality?
Okay. So
are you concerned about something that...
Well, parents are obviously concerned because they showed up here in front of at least 2 committees and also over in the House and said, we believe there's material being used in some schools that is not age appropriate. That's what Senator Huffman was talking about. Obviously on the Senate we don't do exhibits and we're a little more formal. I'd be happy to show you some of the material. It was surprising to every member of the committee regardless of political spectrum. And so here's what this bill is about. School health advisory councils already exist. They already consider human sexuality curriculum. That's already happening. The problem is that some school health advisory committees are not letting parents know when they're meeting and what's being considered. So this is about letting parents know, here's when we're going to meet, here's what we're going to consider, so you can come and participate. That's all the bill does, Senator. It's not creating anything new. The SHACs already exist.
Thank you. We will just agree to disagree on this issue. Thank you.
Of course, and I really want to answer the questions because I think maybe we're missing each other. Because I really want to understand the question. Thank you.
Senator Miles, for what purpose do you rise?
Question, Senator Arthur.
Do you yield, Senator Hughes?
Of course I'll yield.
I'm sorry,
Miles.
Brian, I'm back.
No, please, that's fine.
Let's walk through the practicality
All right.
of how this is going to work.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to envision this, okay?
All right.
Rural school in your district. Minimal teachers. You have a teacher that's going to be teaching sexual orientated class.
Okay.
Rural district, rural school,
Okay.
small school. She may have just be her by herself, correct?
Right.
You want her to post it.
No, sir.
Well, you
Go
just
ahead.
said you
I'm listening.
just told Carol, Senator Alvarado, that you want them to post it on what the curriculum is going to be and what she's going to be teaching. Where's she going to post that at?
Forgive me. The posting.
Where's the posting over?
The posting we're talking about is for the meetings of the School Health Advisory Council.
School Health Advisory Council.
Those committees where they approve the curriculum. That's the posting.
All right,
Forgive me. That's the posting we were talking
stay with
about.
Me. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Posting for what the curriculum is going to be at a small rural school.
Right.
Okay. Where do they post it?
They post the same place they post at school board meetings.
At a school board
It
meeting.
already exists.
They put it in the paper, or they put it, so they're going to put the curriculum.
No, sir. No, sir.
They're going to put an advertising saying that we are going to be teaching a sexually oriented class.
No, sir.
Explain it to me then.
The posting will say the School Health Advisory Committee will meet on this date to consider the curriculum.
Which curriculum?
Yeah,
You can't just say curriculum. It's
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
say,
Well, we're talking about the human
so
sexuality
it's going to say
curriculum.
human sexuality
Yes, sir.
curriculum.
So the posting is for the meeting where the committee will consider and take parental input on the
And
material.
they're going to put that in the local paper.
Wherever they
Right.
post official notices for
They're
school
going to
board
put that in
and
the
all
local
those other
paper,
things.
Brian.
Right.
It's going to say we're going to be taking up a curriculum for sexuality
That's
classes.
the idea. That's the idea.
Small rural school.
Right.
Okay. Activist group sees that.
Right.
Okay? Either for or against. Well, I don't know what side the activist
Right.
group's going to be on. For or against it. They're going to bombard that local meeting. Okay? And you might have activists coming from Houston going to some local little school district. Is that what you really want for your small school districts?
Well, Central
To
Public
be
puts this-
overwhelmed by activists coming out of Austin, activists coming out of Houston and Dallas, just because you're going to do a sexual curriculum?
We want-
'Cause that's what's going to happen.
We want parents to know. And if other people find out, they find out. We want parents to know. And if the price we pay is that other people show up, that's worth it if we're letting parents know so they can be involved. That's the idea.
I think you're opening up a big can of worms for some of these small school districts, some of these small schools they're not going to be able to handle, brother.
Well, the school health...
Have you put any thought to that?
Well, the school health advisory committees already exist. We're not creating those.
But
And they
Brian,
already consider this
I'm not
curriculum.
disagreeing with you on that, my friend. I'm just saying that some of those districts are small.
Right.
Okay, some of those are going to be just a volunteer and a teacher. Okay, but once you have to put it out there for the world to see, you're going to get activists coming from all over to maybe wind up at that school and wind up at that meeting and be disruptive. And it may be activists on a side that you favor, but it could also be an activist on a side you don't favor.
Oh, that's true. Anyone can be interested in this from anywhere on the spectrum. In fact, it was that way before the committee. Some folks who were for more sexuality education in schools, they also told us that notice and participation is important. But you're right. It's not limited to the left or the right. No, you're exactly right. You're right about that.
And I see that could be a problem. I mean, we're not going to have any big problems in big school districts like HISD. But you understand something? We've got security, we've got police, we've got more than one teacher and a volunteer. I'm concerned about those small rural schools. When you post this up, a busload of activists coming from Austin, Texas, to come down onto that school district, and then you don't even have the security and the infrastructure to deal with it.
Well, Senator, matters of public schools, we have those local school boards. They appoint those local committees so that parents can be involved. And so we want to make sure that parental involvement is real, and not just on paper, but parents are really informed and able to participate if they want to. Many parents aren't going to be concerned or spend time to do it, but those who want to, they should have all the information.
Then Brian, why don't you do this? Instead of making it a public notice, why don't you just make it that the teacher sends something home with the kids? Because when you open this up to the public, there's no telling how this is going to end up.
Well, Senator, school board meetings, let me say this, after the School Health Advisory Council does their work, it's going to the school board. School board meetings already post notices, they already post their minutes. If we were going to have this problem, we'd already be having it at the school board. So the good news is this hasn't been a problem when there's a posted meeting about the school board.
I think you're trying to fix something.
Curriculum.
I think you're trying to fix something that's not broke, and you're going to add a bigger problem to something that's not even a problem right now. But we'll be back here in 2 years, and we can reverse your bill.
We sure want to see, if the Senate sees fit to pass, we want to see how it works and make any adjustments we need to,
Be sure and let us know, keep us to know how this is going to work out for you.
No, thank you, Senator. Of course we will. Thank you for that.
Senator Hughes moves final passage. Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt, Birdwell, Buckingham, Campbell, Creighton, Fallon, Flores, Hall, Inga, Hinojosa, Huffman, Hughes, Johnson, Colcourse, Lucio, Menendez, Miles, Nelson, Nichols, Paxton, Perry, Powell, Rodriguez.
Committee substitutes Senate Bill 784 passes. Congratulations, Senator Hughes. 19 yeas, 11 noes.
The final
Passes. It's final passage.
Thank you. Madam President, and thank you, members. And thank you, Senator Miles, and thanks, Senator Alvarado.